Hi guys, what's up YouTube family? Ian and Jess checking back in. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are one step closer to your dreams and goals. Hope you guys are falling in love. So guys, today's video is about how Islam is actually not only, we already know it's not only a mixture of Judaism and Christianity, but it also is a mixture of Zoroastrianism. So today we will be discussing how Islam and Muhammad basically stole many Zoroastrian practices and ingrained it in the Quran. And at the same time, we will touch and you guys will see how Zoroastrian pagans actually corrupted the Quran to a degree where they put many of their own influences. Now guys, this is only a part one of a more comprehensive video. So today is just a taste of a bigger video to come. So depending on how much support we get for this video and how well you guys like it and perceive it, we will go on ahead to go into a more comprehensive video about the topic. But anyways guys, let's get into it. So guys, Zoroastrianism is one of the oldest influencing religions of the world, dating back more than 3,000 years ago. Many things have come from the Persians, which settled into varying cultures. Zoroastrianism had a culture of oral tradition, where priests and students would study the religious texts and practices by heart. This is a very similar concept copied by the Islamic notion that of the Quran and Islamic sources like hadiths and the biography being memorized orally instead of written sources. Many pre-Islamic practices, traditions, tales, fables, and stories have continued to live on through the Islamic tradition. For example, the Quran, hadiths, and liturgical practices. Scholars often acknowledge that Iranian norms, values, and institutions continued to influence Islamic culture after the Arab invasion of the Sasanian Empire, right? Now, the Sasanian Empire, guys, is the Persian Empire. And these norms became acceptable during the early centuries of Islamic history. According to Ibn Qutayba, a renowned Muslim historian of the 9th, some Arabs of the Tamim tribe practiced Zoroastrianism during the pre-Islamic era. He also reports the presence of Manichaeism among the Quraysh, the tribe to which Muhammad belonged to. It is within this context that Persian legends and beliefs seem to have earned a high degree of popularity among the inhabitants of Mecca. According to Ibn Hisham's Sirah, which is the biography of Muhammad, when Muhammad preached in Mecca, Nadir reported to have told the inhabitants of Mecca stories of Persian kings and the tales of Rustam and Isfandia. You know that Muhammad ordered for his head to be chopped off, right? Because Muhammad didn't like that. The appearance of some Persian words in the Quran, as a number of scholars have argued, reflects the influence of Iranian cultural norms on pre-Islamic and early Islamic Arab society. For example, guys, in chapter 17, verse 1 of the Quran, is a very interesting verse. The word of the Arabic Quran, Subhan, is translated to mean glory, glorified, praise, magnificence, and exalted, which are actually the same meaning of the Persian word Subhan, right? In part 2, we will go in depth here about how the Quran has weak points showcasing the corruption by Zoroastrian and Manichaeism practicing Arabs, right? So there are many words and phrases and pagan practices which are ingrained in the Quran, and the translators, they basically corrupted and they were confused by the similarities in words. So therefore, when they would translate it, they actually was changing what Muhammad was saying into their own stuff. Because it was ironic, because even though Muhammad himself was taking things from the Zoroastrian culture and religion, because his own tribe was practicing it, and there was so much of that religion being circulating, when it was being translated after his death, the Zoroastrian pagans themselves would be confused, and they would basically see the similarity in the words and link it to their own religion, right? I mean, I wouldn't blame them. Who would, right? Because many stuff here was stolen from them. But nonetheless. So Vesta is the sacred book of Zoroastrianism. It contains its cosmology, law, and liturgy, and the teachings of the prophet, right? Zoroaster. The copy of the Vesta we have today is all that remains of a much larger body of scripture. Numerous manuscripts of the original are said to have been destroyed when Alexander the Great conquered Persia. The present Avesta was assembled from remnants and standardized under the Sasanian kings in the 3rd and 7th century. The book of Arda-Virov is about a prophet-like practitioner of the faith, describing the dream journey of a devout Zoroastrian, and is something we are going to reference today about Islamic themes being copied. The Book of Arda-Virov is a literary work that presents a vivid and imaginative vision of the afterlife. It portrays the journey of a Persian sage named Arda-Virov, who was taken on a journey through heaven and hell by an angel. The most interesting thing is that when this book was written, it was the same time when Muhammad's biography was composed by Ibn Hisham in 832. So guys, point 1. Zoroastrians pray 5 times a day, a complete copy from Muslims. Check this Sasanian king speaking about it. So there's a response from Yazgrid III. He was of Sasanian Persia, to the Caliph Umar of Arabia. After the Arabs win, the letter is in the British Museum and unavailable to the public. Strange that you occupy the seat of the Arab Caliph, but are as ignorant as any desert roaming Arab. You admonish me to become monotheistic in faith. Ignorant man, for thousands of years we Persians have in this land of culture and art been monotheistic, and 5 times a day have we offered prayer to God's throne of oneness. You Arabs have no regard for God's creatures, who mercilessly put people to the sword, who mistreat your women, who attack caravans, and are highway robbers, who commit murder, who kidnap women and spouses. How dare you presume to teach us who are above these evils to worship God? Interesting here, guys, that the Sasanian authority is basically confirming to us the monstrosities that were committed by the Muslims, Muhammad and his crew. Even though Muhammad wasn't alive at this time, you can see that the amount of nasty things that they did, and you can see how the Islamic sources are so biased, trying to make Muhammad look like this very nice, decent human being, which he was not, right? We know that Allah told the Muslims to pray 50 times a day, and it was Moses who influenced Muhammad to bring it down to 5 after multiple attempts, because it was unreasonable. We see here that Allah has a very weird brain, as humans are smarter than him. So Muslims praying 5 times a day is a direct result of Muhammad disobeying Allah and begging him to reduce it. Point 2, guys. According to Zoroastrian teachings, the soul's journey towards the next world does not begin immediately after death. The Avestan texts maintain that the soul of an individual remains on earth for 3 days and nights before it receives divine judgment. Some features of the Zoroastrian teachings are incorporated into the Islamic notion of barzakun. The Quran in chapter 23 verse 100 describes the barzakun as a barrier between this world and the next. The term barzakun occurs in 2 other Quranic verses. Chapter 55 verse 20, chapter 25 verse 53, and in each case it refers to a barrier. From a linguistic point of view, some scholars suggest that the term barzakun itself is of Persian in origin. Point number 3. Another example of the influence of Zoroastrian eschatological beliefs on Islam is the Zoroastrian idea that all human beings, whether righteous or wicked, should cross a bridge entitled the Chinvat before arriving in paradise or hell. The concept of the Chinvat bridge is one of the oldest eschatological themes of Zoroastrianism and is mentioned in the Gathas and Avesta. Islamic texts too refer to a bridge called the Sirat, over which Each person, including the prophets, should cross before they can be admitted into heaven or hell. The Quranic verse, the angels will be ordered, gather those who committed wrong, their kinds, and what they used to worship, and guide them to the path of hellfire. The Hadith confirms it, where Muhammad is quoted as saying, having said that everyone should cross over the Sirat before he reaches paradise or hell. Point number five. The Zoroastrian tradition speaks of a legend of a miraculous opening of the young Zarathustra's breast or chest by angels. It is very similar to when Muhammad claimed men in white opened his chest and pulled something out black. Point number 4. Muhammad had claimed that he saw a quote-unquote beautiful woman in heaven with features he liked, and a similar story is seen here in the Avesta, where Ardavirov notices a woman of the same nature. Point number 5. An archangel guides Ardavirov to God, gives him the commandments for Ahura Mazda. Now, Ahura Mazda is the one true God, right? And this angel, there were many angels with him, but this angel and the other angels that were around this guy, Ardavirov, was a centerpiece to his journey and his revelations. This is a very similar concept, guys, copied by Muhammad, where he claims an angel named Jibreel gave him revelations from Allah, a God that is almighty. Muslims cannot say because the oldest copy of the manuscripts of the Vesta and other religious works of the Zoroastrian religion came out later proves that it copied Islam, because as we have said earlier, the same way that Muslims claim the Quran was orally memorized, it was actually a fact that Zoroastrianists practiced this themselves. Remember, the priest memorized everything and they would teach it to the student. This was actually their culture, to do oral tradition. When Alexander the Great conquered the world, many of the religious works had been destroyed, and way back in the 6th and 4th centuries, Shapur and Khosrau have been making scribes actually write down the religious works. Also, Zoroastrianism predates Islam more than 2,600 years, so that isn't going to work here, that Zoroastrians copied Islam. Similarly, how Muhammad had his scribes write his revelations and experiences, the same thing the sage did in the Zoroastrian experience in the Avesta by asking for a scribe to write his experience. Point 6, guys. Ardavirov's night journey to heaven and hell was done by the angel Shrosh, just like Muhammad went to the heaven and hell with Jibreel on a flying donkey with a woman's face. So basically, you have another parallel, guys, where the night journey of Muhammad is nothing more than a copy of Ardavirov's night journey. Hopefully this short video made you guys learn something about how Islam stole many Zoroastrian themes and religious practices. And as we said before, part 2 of this video is going to have a deep analysis of different aspects where we piece certain things together. But hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.